Hi everyone, it's Rivka Malka and welcome. It's great to be speaking to you before Pesach, which is in just a few days. Yesterday, I was walking to my car. I think I was taking out this garbage and a young teenager came over to me and she's like, I can't believe I'm meeting you. I hear all your classes and you always put out one before Yontif. And I'm like, I'm gonna do it, I'm doing it. And I wanna say thank you to Torah Anytime that makes these classes available in such a wide and such a broad and easy way for everyone, that you have young girls, teenagers listening into shiurim. I know I did not do that as a teenager. This is a new genre that we have going on now. We think these kids are at risk. They are holy and on fire, even the ones that aren't listening to the shiurim, but everyone is thirsty in their own way. So thank you to the young lady who gave me the push to make a class. And as usual, I've been preparing for this class and I have been reading old notes and just why Jacob sinning, you know how that goes, right? And my old Daniel Katz videos, Rabbi Daniel Katz videos, and reading through our Seder notes from different years, wondering what it was that I was going to share with you. Because you see, recently I was in South Africa, and while I was there, I had the opportunity to speak with someone very special who teaches a lot of Torah. And she said to me, Rivka Malka, you speak to so many people, you have influence, you have to be giving people Torah ideas. A Torah idea is a transformational idea. There's eternity in this. We have to be giving out more Torah content. It's not enough to say nice ideas. It's not enough to give hashkafa. You have to give a seminal Torah idea, and that will change people forever in the words. And I listened in, and my mind was like, yes, yes, yes. And I became this like eager student. Yes, you're right. I have to learn more and I have to give over more. And I was on fire and I was ready. So when I came home, I said, I'm giving a Pesach class and I want to give over meaty content. So let me begin preparing, and I'm opening up my Nesiv Shalom and I'm reading all kinds of things. And then it came time to make this video. And as I sat down to put my thoughts together and write some notes, none of that wanted to come out. It was a different message entirely. And I had to have a moment of truth, and I had to say to myself, you know what? Hashem, He shows a different side of Himself to every person. And so this wonderful person has the merit of seeing the side of Hashem that is His truth through the words of the Torah, the words, the actual text. None of our classes are complete without the text. And that is amazing. And she has tremendous light to offer through that. And that is not my light. No matter how many times I try to break up the text and bring it in, that is not my message. My message is the human message, the living the Torah life message, the practical, the day-to-day, the coming through from my heart to yours and uniting us all. So it was interesting for me to just settle into that and say, okay, Hashem, I hear you. And I'll still take the lesson from her to learn more, which thank God I did. So today it's not text-based, and thank God for Torah Anytime, because you're going to be able to look there and find some incredible speakers and learn a ton about Pesach. What I want to share with you today is us in Galus and us on our way to Geula. And I recently became aware that there is a show out there called This Is Us. And this show is about different people going through their lives and just parallel lives, and started thinking, who is us? Who are the women of today? What are the types of things that we are going through and what's happening with us? And I thought, what if I told some stories to you and you could find yourself in one of these characters? You could learn something from somebody else's story. Because when we speak to women, and we want to speak to women in a broad sense, you know what? Not all women are the same. When we speak of struggle, not all struggles are the same. We're each going through something else. So I will start with myself, and I think I'm going to tell you around 5 stories. So I'll start with myself in case this is the one that you need to hear. And remember, when we're listening with an ear for redemption. What's the redemptive piece over here? What's the piece from going from the slave mentality, from the small, disempowered, powerless, victimized mentality into the B'nai Chorim mentality, that we are the children of Hashem. I like to say our Father is a millionaire. He's everything. So to the B'nai Chorim, to the freedom mentality. And for myself, it's actually is a simple story, but it really freaked me out. And that is that, thank God, I was just a speaker at the Sana Indaba in South Africa. And the thing is that I was unnaturally terrified. Unnaturally terrified. And I like to face my fears. It like gives me a great pleasure to be daring. And this one was so scary that I was crying. Like, you know, when you could cry any second and then someone says, what's going on? And then you actually do cry. That was me with the days coming, the days leading up to the Sana Indaba, and then that Friday, the Sana Indaba was on Sunday. I just couldn't get it together. And I had the pleasure of having a visit with Gina Goldstein, and she was great because she's the chief Rebbitzin over there. I'll just remember her line. She said to me, "Oh, you're gonna do great." And then she looked at me and she's like, "That doesn't help, does it?" Which was so awesome. And I'm like, no, this is just work I gotta do. I'm being crazy. And, you know, I didn't exactly get down to what the fear was, but what I know from this experience is that it is scary to be in your power, to have nothing holding you back. And suddenly I had this stage, these lights, these thousands of people, this opportunity, this room that was ready to listen. It was going to be like every opportunity I ever wanted right there. And in a way, that was scarier than if I don't have what I want. So what ended up happening is that I ended up speaking on Shabbos before the Sana Indaba, and that made me remember that it's not a performance, it's about connecting with people. And when I just speak to people and people speak back to me, we're gonna be fine, and we're always gonna be fine. And I thought about many women that I know that want to do their next level. The coaches that I train, they really want to coach more, but they are scared. They're scared. Who wants to be coached by me? Maybe I'll get stuck in the middle. Or people who take on a job and don't know if they can do it, or have a dream that they just don't know if they could do. And we sit in this fearful place at the same time wanting something so badly and feeling that it's ra'oi to us, that we can do it, and at the same time feeling completely terrified and like we can't. And ultimately, what I came to logically before I had my comfort on Shabbos was, pardon me, this moment when I was davening, and these words came into my head, Bishvili nivra ha'olam, which is the words that mean the world was created for me. And usually we understand this to mean the world is created for me. Every person can say that to themselves and know that that's the reality of the world. But I was hearing it as if Hashem was saying it in my ears. Bishvili nivra ha'olam. The world was created for me, for my glory. The only way I'm ever going to step out of my fear and into the great work that I'm meant to do is to do it for Hashem, to get out of my own way and to just, pardon me, I'm having an eye thing, and to just do it for Hashem. Do it for His glory. Step there as an agent of Hashem, not as an agent of Rivka Malka. And that is going to be what's going to take me on to stage. And so that's actually what happened. And God willing, you'll be able to see the footage, I hope, on tour anytime. And it was gorgeous and glorious. And I'm so happy that I got that chance. So thank you to the Chief Rabbi and Rebbitzin and to the whole South Africa for the warm welcome. And to you listeners, this is for all of you. This story is for all of you who feel the fear, who know that you can do it, but also don't know if you can do it. That risky place, I ask you to think of Bishvili nivra ha'olam. The world was created for me, says Hashem. When we were slaves in Mitzrayim, we had no idea what we could be. We had no idea that we would be the Am HaNivchar. We had no idea that we would be standing at the foot of Sinai with all the holiness and Hashem's voice literally in our ears. We had no idea that we could be that and have that, and yet it was just around the corner for us. So that is story number one, my gift for you, my mini redemption story. And now story number two. So story number two is about another woman, a dear friend of mine, and I have a few relationships like this where I'm very close with someone, and also we coach each other. So this friend and I, we were coaching last year, and I remember the conversations, and the conversations were about What should I do? What should I do? I'm not happy with my job, but what should I do? But what would I do? But I wish I could do that, and I could just see myself, and what would it take, and how could I get there? And it was this kind of stressed out, almost, I think stressed out is the right word. This thread of unhappiness, of unsettledness, but what should I do? And when I spoke to her this morning, so this morning we got together and I got to speak to her, and I was telling her that I woke up kind of feeling just not good. Just one of those mornings where you just, something doesn't feel right. And we got to speaking, and we had set goals at an earlier session that we had together. And her goal was to clear out her den, to make a space where she could daven. She would clean out her whole room, and she had this idea. She's been working on her tefillah in a tefillah vad, and she had this idea that this is what she would do. So I got a photo from her just yesterday, and she said, I did it. And today she told me all about it, how this den of hers was a mess. It took the entire day to clean, and how she had learned about a makom kavua, having a special place to daven, and she wanted a place where she would be uninterrupted. So she cleaned out this entire room, moved the bookshelves, roped her husband in, was totally delighted and amazed that he got on board, and made a space for herself to daven. And she hung up pictures on the wall, and she put a stender, which is like a little podium where she could pray. And she said that corner of the room is amazing. The energy is already there. She can't wait to stand there. It's just so incredible. And I looked at her and I said, and you remember I told you I wasn't in a great space when I woke up, so it was like her exuberance was just like very, I was observing it because I wasn't in it with her. I was just like, what is happening? You sound amazing. You sound so great. She's like, I know, I've just totally let go. And we started talking about men and women, and we started talking about how the woman's role, and this was her analogy, a woman's role is to be the tree, to be rooted, to be steady, to be giving with the giving tree, but just to be having an energy of presence. It's not quite passive, it's receiving, it's present, it's strong, it's powerful. It is because it is. When we say a woman is beautiful, we don't mean she looks beautiful, we mean she is beautiful. Like a tree just is beautiful. And she said, a man is like a bird flying all over the place, making things work and worried about everything and carrying the responsibility. And, you know, and we were talking about times in our lives when we've been birds running around, trying to do, trying to accomplish, trying to create, trying to build. And I am so guilty of that. I get in that zone where I must create, I must build, I must do. And our conversation reminded me, be like a tree, not like the bird. And where it led us was to talking about Pesach and craftiness. Because, you know, when I was a young mother, I know, don't laugh, I'm still a young mother, but really when my kids were much younger, I did so many creative things, and it was just fun. Maybe I was just closer to being a teenager. Maybe I was just more fun then, less serious. Maybe I hadn't hit 40 yet. I don't know, but I just felt like I wanted to infuse everything with creativity. It was just more interesting and fun and a memory. And this year, I had in mind, I actually wrote it down to sit with my daughter Batya and to make a plan for something creative. But I have to say there was going to be like a 60% chance that that was actually going to get done. And I started to think about, and we started to talk about, what are some crafty and creative ideas? And I saw in that moment, she showed me a vision of a mother. And I'm the kind of person that needs to be reminded a lot of times about basic things like my identity. What does it mean to be a wife? What does it mean to be a mother? What does it mean to be in business? Like, definitions are hard for me. When I'm starting off with business, I end up just being in creative giving. Like, I get confused, what is what? What does it mean to be a mother? And I like to hear these definitions and these reminders of what is that role. The mother makes the house a home. The steady presence in the kitchen, the steady presence puttering around, the one who is thinking of the creative ideas that makes that whole thing come alive. These are the memories that the children have and that the family has. So this story is about a woman who did it, a woman who this year found redemption and found her way from chaos to stillness, literal stillness in front of her stender, and worked very, very hard on it, and worked hard on letting go and letting her husband be the husband and herself be the wife. And it's also a story about me continuing to work on taking back more and more pieces of motherhood that get lost in a chaotic world. And so thanks to her suggestion, what I'm doing this year is I'm making a newsletter for the family. You know how the shul has a newsletter that you bring home? So this is not exactly interactive, but it's interactive in a sense of preparing and something special for the children. And it has 5 questions in it. Let me think if I can remember the questions. Do I have my phone here? Yeah, I have my phone here. I'll tell you my questions. What funny or amazing thing happened to you this year? What is your favorite part of Pesach? What sea do you want to cross this year? Do you have a favorite Pesach idea? Can you share it? And what is a Pesach memory that you hold dear? And we are asking these questions to every one of our children and as many friends and family as we can. And tonight, in the wee hours of the night, I'm going to put them together to make a family newsletter with pictures of the people who responded and to get a sense of what is people's favorite Torahs, what are their favorite memory, what is this Mesorah that is Pesach that unites us. And I think that's also why, again, the similar vein of this video, this sense of we are all united, we're all going through this together, and this looks very different for every one of us, and let's honor and celebrate it. So if that spoke to you, I hope that you also find redemption and find something that you can take away from that. Where can you move from the small thinking of the fear and running around and trying to make things happen to the big thinking of I am a strong and powerful and steady presence. I am a woman. I am a mother. Where can you bring more creativity and lightness to your family? And where can you bring that to yourself? Also really standing in that woman zone. Okay? That is story number 2 to think about. Here we go for story number 3. So story number 3 is super strange and interesting. Okay? In South Africa, I was doing a lot of speaking at high schools and shuls and everything. And someone asked if I could do another workshop on my free night. I said, okay, I'll do it. And as I was thinking of planning this workshop, I suddenly remembered that my 9th retreat just happened. And at the end of my 10th retreat, I made this promise. And this promise I made in front of a lot of people, and it was a crazy promise. I said, Hashem, enough. Your children need healing. It's not enough that only these women are here. The way the day works is that there are 10 speakers and 4 at each time slot. So then you just choose which speakers you want to go to. One of them is Peter Himmelman. He's a singer. He's best known for being Bob Dylan's son-in-law and religious. And he gave a creativity workshop that was packed out, and he was hilarious. And who else was there? There was Baba Rubenstein, who was also hilarious. Makes me wish I was a funny speaker instead of one of these sensitive speakers, because funny speakers are just the best. And I would love to introduce you to some of these speakers, but they're in the middle of speaking. Oh, I'm going to take you into a room right now. This is so exciting. Stay with me. You're going to see the Sana and Dava up close. So that is one of the more halachic ones, one of the less creative ones. I think that was Rabbi Adlerstein, but did you see the size of that crowd? Every room is like that. They're friendly faces, though. When I faced them, it was okay. It wasn't as scary as I thought. Scary was getting lost on my way to the podium. Hang on. Hello. Would you guys like to be on my Facebook Live? Tell my friends how it's going for you.
Well, hi, it's very exciting. Lovely to be here.
Yeah, what's the best thing you're
I
getting
was,
out of
I was
today?
at your talk. It was brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you for saying that live
Brilliant,
in front of all my friends.
Outstanding. Was superb.
Thank you. They're very generous around here. Okay, I'm taking you into another room. Are you ready? Stay here. Shh. Be quiet. Don't talk.
Spells Pele. What is Pele? Pele means wonder. When you ask the question what, you look at the world, you say what's going on. You look at the universe and how wondrous it is. You look at the human body and how brilliantly it's engineered. If you ask the question what, you may not have the answer, but you will have a sense, friends, of wonder. Pele. The whole world is just amazing. What data?
Okay, we're heading out.
Okay, great. We were chatting earlier, so it's great
We're
to
continuing.
be back with your group. It's so special. I think we were talking about the power of Torah when you share Torah with the Jewish world, and it's the power of Klal Yisrael, of the Jewish people, because within each and every single one of us is this incredible potential that's just waiting to come out and to connect. And so if you can bring the magic of Torah together with the magic of Klal Yisrael, then there are spiritual fireworks that take place in the world. And that's been the secret of Shabbos Project, being the secret of Sinai and Darba, is bringing pure Torah to every single Jew, but klima for in the most magnificent way possible. And if you can put that together, then you have the most remarkable shidduch. It's a shidduch made in heaven.
In my 10th retreat, it was only like the 3rd or 4th retreat, I said, if you let me make 10 retreats, then my 10th one is going to be free for anyone. So I said, you know what? I already have a May retreat planned. It's not free. This is going to be it. This is my 10th one, and I'm making it free. It was not a full retreat, but I put out the word, whoever wants to come, we're doing this. So this was over a year ago. And it was a promise made from, I can't even tell you, like my heart of my heart of my heart, my kishkas. And the night of the retreat, who walks in, and I'll try to put the footage at the end of this so you could see. Maybe I'll put a little footage of South Africa also at the end of this. But you'll see this, what I'm about to tell you, hopefully at the end of this video. If I don't get to it, I apologize. Who walks in to our house, my sister-in-law's house? 20 women who live in the Val, which is the valley, and I think it's the valley, some far away place, an hour and a half from Johannesburg, and they are not Jewish. And they found out about this retreat, and they came. A couple of Frum women also came, but mainly it was them. They know me from YouTube, and they came in with the most delicious hugs, like as if we're old friends. We know each other, and we're hugging, and they just keep coming. And I thought 3 or 4, no, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and there's more of them, and they came in vans. Their whole community came. And these are people who found the truth of Torah. And there they are, and they're trying to learn as much Torah as they can. And they found me on YouTube, and they saw this opportunity, and they were coming. And actually, many of them had gotten into the Sinai and Daba also. I don't know how they found out about these things. Maybe from me, I don't know. Anyway, so we're sitting around a beautiful circle, and I am amazed. What is happening here? What does Hashem have in mind? But I start my workshop. It's a healing workshop. It's on forgiveness. And at some point after I give the opening idea, I give the women their personal work to do, and they start doing their worksheets, which is a particular construct to work through forgiveness in a relationship, seeing how this resentment is a healing opportunity for you, let's just say. And after a little while, the women are doing their work, and it's time for them to share. Who wants to share? Well, nobody wants to share. Okay, that's normal, especially in South Africa. And then the leader, she pipes up and she says, ladies, I know that English isn't our first language, so if any of you want to speak in Afrikaans, I'm happy to translate. And I said to her, you know, Rita, you just spoke up. How about you share first? So she said, okay. And then she starts to share. And as she shares, she's crying and she's crying. And she's talking about how she was the leader of her community and she was teaching women, and something happened, and maybe something happened with the men, some kind of drama, and she pulled away. And she said to herself, I don't have anything left to teach. I have nothing. I can't do this. I'm not doing it right. I have to stop. And so she pulled away from the teaching. And for 2 years, she took a back seat. And she was in tremendous pain. And more than that, she was in tremendous shame. And she felt hurt and she felt betrayed. And then one day, and she's saying this, I can't even tell you, like, with the appropriate emotion, the incredible emotion, the tears. She says, I said, Hashem, if I truly believe and I truly teach that you are the one who is in control, then it is you who has done this. And it is you who I must serve. And it is you who wants me to teach. I must go back in there no matter how much pain I'm in. I must teach people. And so not because she was ready, because she felt, I have to let Hashem be in charge of this, she stepped back into the arena and began leading the women again. And as she's crying, her community members are also crying. And they are weeping. And I asked them, who would like to give Rita an acknowledgement? And they start telling her, Rita, you mean so much to us. We never knew that this was hard for you. You make it look easy. We just never knew. Now we have even more respect for you. Rita, you're my inspiration. Without you, I wouldn't be here. You know, their words that were coming out of their mouths were like a balm for her soul. And the room was filled with an earnest love and appreciation. And you could feel in that moment that this promise that I made a year ago, which was a bizarre promise, was made so that these women could have this experience. And it boggled my mind. Actually, what I did then was I said, Rita, it seems to me that I thought that I was leading a healing retreat, but this is actually your retreat to lead. These are your people and they need you. And I moved out of my leader seat and she moved into the center so that she could get back into that place of leading her people. And when it came time to give feedback, some of the frum women, that's the religious Jewish women in the room, they said, I wish we gave this to our leaders. I wish we supported our leaders in this way. How many of our rabbis get to hear us say, if not for you, I wouldn't be here. You inspire me every day. You showing up to life makes me want to be a better person. Do we say that to our mentors? Do we say that to our rabbitans? How are we at supporting them? And you know what? These people weren't so great at supporting their leader either. Maybe they were, but not as great as they were that night, because on that night, their leader shared her vulnerability. So a question to the leaders, are you leading from a distance? Are you leading from a stage, or are you getting in there with the people and really sharing yourself? I have a friend, Eve Levy, out in Oregon, who I was lucky enough to do a retreat for and with. And I just want to give her a shout out because I see how she leads her people. She gets down there with them. She shares herself. She is relatable. She is vulnerable, and she is honorable and dignified within that. We don't lose by admitting our humanity. We gain intimacy. How can we inspire people when we are so far, when we act as if our lives are so different than theirs? They're not. If there's a redemption message in there for you, please take it. Honor the work that you're doing and honor the work that your leaders are doing. Let them know. And for the leaders, let yourself be known. I promise only good will come from it. Okay, ready for the next story? Let's do it. I hope you're cooking while you listen to this. I hope you're just relaxing, because you can listen to a lot of really solid Torah out there. This is for your heart. This is for you to just say, this is a woman's journey. I wonder what woman I am. And I wonder, I myself am wondering. I'm wondering, who are you listening to this, and which of these may speak to you, okay? I'm going to tell you a few more stories, so hang out with me. Our next story is of a friend who had a divorce a little while back, and she is just getting to know a young man. And I got to speak to her, and I'm trying to give this over just very delicately because it's her business. Where our conversation went was to that very tender place of wanting to trust again in the world, not wanting to walk around with your defenses up, but not wanting to get into anything stupid, and frankly, not wanting to get your heart broken, not wanting things to get into drama, but also knowing that if we're going to move in life, we have to take risks, and how to navigate that. And where she got to was this idea that she wants to be free, flexible, not free, flexible to whatever Hashem's plan is, so that she does not have to walk around with her fists up or protecting herself. She is protected by being flexible to Hashem's plan, and by not putting too much investment just yet on anything, really kind of easing in and letting go. Where are you going to take me, Hashem? And as we spoke about that, she said, yes, but I also want not just flexibility, I also want to know that if I am not comfortable with something, I can change it. And so the second piece is not just about flexibility, it's about groundedness. I want to be grounded in trusting myself. And this is a big story for people in our times, for women in our times, women who have experienced love and loss and are single or divorced, and that really tender, I think, scary place of, can I put myself out there again, and to what degree? And how do I protect myself from a broken heart without walking around with my protections up? And this topic, I mean, it just takes so much courage, so much bravery, and most of all, so much emunah, because there are no guarantees. Your heart might get broken. It might get messy. And yet there is no choice. And yet if you close down shop, then you have no chance. And so I find single women with high levels of emunah that it takes to really walk the path of love and risk and trust, even when your trust has been broken. And trust can be broken by a system. It can be broken by past relationships. And this is a story of one of today's women. One of today's women is the single woman, the woman who is still single or who is divorced, who is calling out to Hashem, walking with Hashem as her husband, so to speak, as her protector, as her one whose arms she will fall back in as she navigates these really tricky waters. And there is redemption in that. My daughter taught me recently from the Derech Hashem that every mitzvah that we do, every act of emunah, every act of greatness, it grows the light in our soul. But we can't see it because our body can't contain that light. But the light in our soul is growing, and after 120, when we get to the next world, we will see that light. That is who we will be. So single women, you can't see your own light. To the naked eye, you just look like another person, but you are not. Your soul is growing by leaps and bounds, and may this Pesach bring you every type of Yeshua that you dream of. Okay, here comes another story. Another story is of our dear friend, loved one, Yocheved Bina, who lives around the corner and who used to live right here in our house. And I spoke about her maybe once, but I really didn't give details because I just felt like this is her business and it's such a personal story. How do I even begin? But I think that this is also another redemption story for people in our times. And since that time, she has written her story and she has an amazing blog. And so I'm going to tell it to you right here. So it was a long time ago, I guess 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, when I got connected online to someone named Brittany. And she had been looking up Jewish things online because her mother, who she reconnected with at the age of 18, told her that she's Jewish. And so she started looking into Judaism. And as happens, I answered her questions to the best of my ability, and we got into a very little bit of contact. And every once in a while, she would ask me some questions and I would answer her. And this girl really wanted to learn Torah. So we connected her up with the Malol family out in Oregon so that she could join Partners in Torah or whatever kind of kiruv was going on over there. And she got connected and she was learning and she was going there for Shabbos. One day I get an email from her. She said, my family is being really mean. They're not being nice about my Judaism. And I said to her, wow, like, I'm so sorry that can happen. If you're coming from a Christian family, then it's going to be very strange for them. If you're practicing Judaism, they're not going to like it. And then she said, well, you know, I'm coming home and there are swastikas on my wall and of my bedroom, and there are pictures of emaciated people from the Holocaust stuck up. And I said, wow, this is really weird. What? That's what's on your wall? This doesn't sound right. We got to talk. So I didn't know this girl, but Hashem helped me. I don't always do the right thing. That day I did, and I said, give me your number. I want to call you. So I called her up and we're speaking, and something sounded so strange. And I said to her, are you scared? She said, yeah. I said, are they hurting you? She said, no. I said, have you ever been hurt? Silence. Absolute silence. Is it dangerous? Silence. Finally, a little yes. So we spoke a little bit more, and I called up the Malols who she was in contact with to find out, who is this Brittany? What is going, you know, and they said she's a lovely person. She's a wonderful person. I said, something doesn't sound right. So I called her back and we spoke, and I understood from what she said that her situation was incredibly, incredibly dangerous. Incredibly dangerous, that there was abuse from all sides of her life. And so we put together a plan and got together some money and said, if I send you a plane ticket, will you come? Will you leave? Is that what you want? And she said, yeah. So Brittany was, let me think, I guess she must have been 18 then. No, maybe she was 19 then. And she, you know, she could make her own decisions. And our friend, Frank Storch over here, he gave us a great idea. He said she should print out a train ticket as if she's going one place, put it in the garbage so that when they try to track her down, they will be led off the trail. So she did that. And within 2 days, she was picked up and she was out of there. And she came to our house. And at the beginning, she was going to go to Israel because that was the plan. She was going to join the Jewel program. But when she came to our house, we saw, no way, this girl's not going anywhere. She just stepped out of an abusive situation. And what this girl needs is not to go to seminary. What this delightful girl needs is healing and family. And so we brought her in. And over the next year, this Brittany had her heart broken again and again as she faced the people who she left behind, as she found out that her mother wasn't really Jewish, was just playing with her, telling her some stuff. And as she realized that she would have to go through the conversion process, and as she tried to make her way in a big city after coming from literally a farmhouse with nothing around. But one thing is for sure, in that girl's heart was beat a Jewish soul, a Jewish spark. There was no question about it. And I watched her sitting in my dining room, teaching herself to read Hebrew pouring through the Chumash word by word. This year, she became my daughter's Hebrew tutor. That's how determined she has been to learn, to grow, to just catch up to where she needs to be. Her deeds and her midos, her character, are so high and so refined. Well, a little while later, after her conversion, she just had this desperate desire to go back, just to see her grandmother. Her grandmother's very old. Her grandmother was the only person that was good to her. And she really wanted to go back. And we said, listen, it's really dangerous. It's really, really dangerous. And you can read her blog post. I mean, I can put it, if this is on YouTube, I can put it in the link below. The circumstances that she was in included, horrible things, blood and gore all the way. And so we contacted our friend in Oregon, actually Eve Levy, to say, is there someone that can escort our Brittany, whose now name is Yocheved Bina, is there someone who can escort her? And she said, yeah, we have a friend who has worked in cults, and he's security, and he can take her. He's going to do his research. Well, I get a call from this guy, and he said, this does not look good. He said that entire town is a cult. The entire town is a cult. Now, she had been describing things to me like being called up on the church stage and being hit and whipped and being when she disrespected her elders, the entire community had to tell her what a bad girl she was. Everybody. And that's the littlest of it, okay? That's the littlest of it. And it just didn't make sense. I was like, where were the normal people? Like, your mother wasn't normal, your father wasn't normal, or this one wasn't, like, everyone was horrible. Like, yes, the entire town, down to the pizza shop, is owned by this cult in this little town in Oregon. That's where she grew up without even knowing that she was trapped. She felt trapped, and she was trapped, and she just sounded like a crazy woman. She didn't even realize that she was in this crazy system. She was just part of it, and somehow she got out. And she went to seminary, and she's teaching in a Jewish school now, and she is amazing. And she's 22. And I think this is such a modern day story of redemption on two counts. First of all, maybe you have a redemption story coming out from abuse, having to rebuild herself. We have great talks, me and her. I do most of the talking, but about boundaries, about codependence, about not blaming yourself, not taking on other people's stuff, because that's what it's like when you come from abuse. You just keep on feeling like you're not enough, and it's all your fault, and the ground is going to follow up from beneath you, and people are going to find out who you are, and then you're just going to be in shame, and the sense of being different and having secrets and all of these things. And there is redemption. There is coming out of that. There is asking Hashem, whatever healing work I can't do on my own, please help me do that. Help me get there. Guide me to the right people. Make the miracles happen. Shift my heart. Show me the way. Show me how to get healed. And that is part of the modern day redemption work that so many people are doing. And the other piece is conversion. There are incredible converts out there. Incredible. They are my best friends. Holy, holy souls who fought the odds, who come to Torah Judaism. We are coming to the end of our story time over here. And I know that as we go into this Seder, we each have something to work on. And when we have the matzah, which symbolizes the freedom, and the maror, which symbolizes the slavery, and we eat them together by korech, we give it as a gift up to Hashem. We say, Hashem, take my highest parts and take my lowest parts, my scared, greedy, selfish, anxiety-ridden, shame-ridden parts, and accept my wholeness in both of them, and I give them both to you to elevate. They are both me. I can be both a powerful speaker on stage at the Sinai and Daba and a scared little person crying the day before, and both are me. I can be a warrior princess comfort and a scared little girl at the same exact time. That is me, Hashem. And the only way that I'm going to get out of this, the only way that I'm going to rise more is if you, Hashem, you take me out of Mitzrayim. And I know that just like the Jews in Egypt, they didn't deserve to be taken out. They couldn't trust in themselves. They had to trust in Hashem. They had to trust in His love, that He would find a way out. Remember that no slave had ever escaped the walls of Egypt. That's what the Medrash tells us. That means that in their minds, they had this thought for 210 years, nobody gets out. There is no way. The walls are sealed. And yet they had to trust Hashem will find a way out. And boy, did He find a way out. And so for all of us, I tell us this, Hashem will help us find a way out, not by our merit, but because we are beloved to Him, and because Seder night is coming, the Leil Shimurim, the night of the guarding, when Hashem is Shechina, His divine presence, is going to be alive and awake in your house, and we will be redeemed. We will be led towards whichever salvation that we need. We only need to put our trust in Hashem. Okay? I hope you enjoyed this video. I would actually love your feedback. I have been talking for a really, really, really long time. And I've been talking indoors, which is not my comfort zone, as much as the great outdoors. But I want to hear from you. Did you like the stories? And what story feels like it resonates with you? And what do you want to hear more about? Okay, have an amazing Pesach. Bye-bye.